Winter of 1942. Stalingrad lies in ruins. The streets are covered with blood-stained snow. German and Soviet soldiers fight house by house, meter by meter. It's one of the most brutal battles in history. But what if? What if suddenly something appeared that neither side was expecting? What if a 21st century tank, a Leopard 2A8, emerged in the middle of this war? Could a single modern war machine change the course of the bloodiest battle of World War II? Or would it be just iron and steel against an entire burning city? First, let's meet our protagonist. The Leopard 2A8 is an absolute beast. It weighs 62 tons of pure armored terror. Its L55 120mm cannon can penetrate 700 millimeters of armor at 2 kilometers distance. That means it can cut through any 1942 tank like paper. Its frontal armor can withstand projectiles up to 800 millimeters, more than any weapon of the era could produce. But the real advantage isn't just raw power. It's the technology. Thermal imaging system that sees in the dark and through smoke. Laser rangefinder that calculates distances instantly. Computerized fire control system that hits moving targets while the tank itself is moving at 70 km/h. In 1942, this is pure black magic. Maximum speed, 70 km/h on flat terrain. German Panzer IV tanks barely reached 40 km/h. Soviet T-34s stayed around 55 km/h, but only under ideal conditions. The Leopard is not only faster, it's more agile, with high-drop pneumatic suspension that keeps the cannon stable even on destroyed terrain. Now let's go to the scenario. August 1942 to February 1943. Stalingrad was being torn apart. The German 6th Army, commanded by Friedrich Paulus, had about 250,000 men trying to conquer the city. On the Soviet side, Vasily Chuikov commanded the 62nd Army, defending every building, every piece of rubble. The tanks of the era? The Germans mainly had Panzer III and IV. Some Tiger wines starting to appear. Maximum armor of 100 mm on Tigers, 18 on Panzer IVs. 75 cannons that were effective against other tanks of the era, but compared to what's coming, it's like comparing a slingshot to a cannon. The Soviets defended with T-34s, some KV-1s, and lots of infantry with Molotov cocktails and anti-tank grenades. Brave, determined, but technologically decades behind our visitor from the future. The Leopard 2 appears in the ruins of Stalingrad. Without warning, without explanation, it simply materializes amid the rubble of the tractor factory. Experienced German commander in control, full ammunition, full fuel tank. But it's not on the German or Soviet side, it's alone. First reactions. Soldiers from both sides stop shooting at each other and simply stare. Nobody has ever seen anything like it. It's bigger than any existing tank. The engine sound is different. The shape is alien. It doesn't have the angular silhouette of German tanks, nor the robust design of Soviet ones. It's something completely new. The German commander in the Leopard makes a decision. He won't choose sides. He'll create his own territory in the center of Stalingrad and force a local ceasefire. Impossible mission? Let's find out. The first test comes quickly. A column of 3 German Panzer IVs approaches, thinking it's reinforcement. The Leopard commander tries to communicate by radio, but the frequencies are incompatible. The Germans are confused by that strange tank that doesn't respond. When they realize something is wrong, it's too late. The Leopard locks onto one of the Panzer IVs at 1,800 meters distance. One shot. The APFSDS, armor-piercing fin-stabilized discarding sabot, projectile goes through the Panzer IV's frontal armor like butter. Instant explosion. The other 2 Panzers try to maneuver but can't even identify where the shot came from. Second shot, another Panzer IV becomes smoking scrap. The third tries to flee, but the Leopard moves 70 km/h through the rubble, catches up in seconds and fires point blank. 3 German tanks eliminated in less than 2 minutes. 0 damage to the Leopard. On the Soviet side, observers were shocked. Someone had just destroyed 3 German tanks with brutal efficiency. Was it a new secret German tank? Soviet reinforcement? Nobody knew, but they decided to test it. A T-34 unit approaches cautiously. 4 Soviet tanks against the mysterious invader. The lead T-34 commander tries to communicate by radio. Nothing. They decide to attack. The T-34s open fire simultaneously from 400 meters. 76 mm projectiles hit the Leopard's armor and ricochet. They simply ricochet. The armor doesn't even have a scratch. It's like they were throwing stones at a mountain. The Leopard's response is quick and precise. 4 shots, 4 T-34s destroyed. The 21st century projectiles simply disintegrate any armor of the era. The Soviets can't even process what just happened. With 7 enemy tanks destroyed in less than 10 minutes, the Leopard commander sends a clear message: this area is now a neutral zone. Any tank that approaches will be destroyed. Infantry can pass, but armored vehicles cannot. News spreads to both sides. The Germans report an invincible Soviet super tank. The Soviets speak of a devastating new German weapon. Commanders on both sides are confused and decide to observe. The Leopard establishes defensive position at a strategic intersection. From there, it can control vehicle movement in a 2-kilometer radius. Its thermal sight detects anything that moves day and night. Foot soldiers continue passing, but tank warfare stops in this area. But here the real problems begin. The Leopard 2 is a 21st century machine in 1942. Fuel: it uses modern diesel with specific additives. In 1942, available fuel isn't compatible. It can run on common diesel for a while, but performance drops and components begin to fail. Ammunition: each APFSDS projectile costs more than an entire tank of the era. But that's not the problem. The problem is it only has 42 projectiles. Once they're gone, there's no replacement. Nobody in 1942 knows how to produce this type of ammunition. Maintenance: the Leopard has electronic sensors, complex hydraulic system, onboard computers. If any component fails, there's no technician in 1942 capable of fixing it. It's alien technology for the era. Communication: radios of the era can't communicate with the Leopard's modern system. It's completely isolated, without coordination with any force. Meanwhile, commanders on both sides decide this super tank can't continue controlling strategic area. The Germans organize a concentrated offensive: 12 Panzer IV tanks and 2 Tiger Es, plus infantry with Panzerfausts. The Soviets do the same. 15 T-34s, ZIS-3 76mm anti-tank guns in elevated positions, and soldiers with anti-tank grenades. The Leopard detects enemy movement coming from both directions. It's a trap. Two forces that were enemies now cooperate temporarily to eliminate the common threat. The battle begins at dawn. Dense fog covers Stalingrad. Advantage to the Leopard. Its thermal sight sees through fog as if it were broad daylight. The other tanks are practically blind. First targets. The German Tiger Es, for being more dangerous. 2 precise shots eliminate the biggest threats. The Panzer IVs try to flank, but the Leopard moves quickly, using superior mobility. Simultaneously, the Soviet T-34s attack from the rear. The Leopard has to rotate its turret quickly, alternating between German and Soviet targets. Each shot is accurate, but now there are many targets. Soviet anti-tank guns open fire from elevated positions. 76mm projectiles hit the Leopard's upper armor. They still ricochet, but the noise is deafening. German infantry approaches with Panzerfausts. Primitive anti-tank weapons, but dangerous at close range. The Leopard commander realizes he can't fight in all directions at the same time. It's a tank, not an entire army. After 20 minutes of intense combat, harsh reality, ammunition running out. 38 of the 42 projectiles have been used. 19 enemy tanks destroyed, but there are still targets. Low fuel. Hydraulic system showing overload failures. The Leopard tries to withdraw to a more defensive position, but now faces a new problem: infantry. Soldiers with grenades approach through the rubble. Modern technology doesn't help much against a determined soldier with a homemade grenade. Molotov cocktails begin being thrown. They don't penetrate the armor, but fire blocks periscopes and hinders visibility. The air conditioning system wasn't prepared for 1942's toxic smoke. With 3 projectiles remaining, critical fuel, and failing systems, the Leopard commander makes the final decision: destroy as much as possible and withdraw to avoid technology capture. Last 3 shots eliminate an anti-tank gun and 2 tanks blocking the escape route. The Leopard accelerates through the rubble, using superior speed to escape. But fuel runs out 3 kilometers from the combat zone. The Leopard stops. Silence. The machine from the future finally succumbed to the limitations of 1942 reality.